All right, good morning. Let's call to order the Cuyahoga County Convention Facilities Development Corporation meeting, board meeting for the date of Friday, April 21st, 2023. Let the time be reflected to be 8:39 a.m. Julie, can you please call the roll?
Mayor Sellers.
Here.
Mayor Sellers.
Here.
Majid McClure.
Here.
Tim Oftermatt. Tim Oftermatt, I'm sorry, you're muted. You cannot. Trevor McAleer.
Here.
Jeff Epstein. Here. Michael Obie. David Gilbert.
Here.
Roshonda Smith.
All right, good morning.
Call Matt.
No, he's not here.
Still call Matt.
And
Still call
Matt Carroll.
All right, you have before you the minutes from the last meeting. Is there any questions, discussion on the minutes that you've been sent?
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, those minutes carry. Next up on the agenda are the board appointments. We have seat number 2, which is Eric Webster from the County Executive Office. Seat number 4, which is Tim Oftermatt from the County Council President recommendation. And seat number 8, Michael Obie from the County Executive. We will take a motion. That's a
No,
typo.
that's a typo. It
That's
should be
a ty-
Tim.
This should
Yeah.
be, seat number 4 should say Tim Oftermatt, not Trevor McAleer. All right, so
Mayor,
let's take them one at a time.
Yep, Eric Wubser is a new appointment, and the other 2 are renewals. I move for the acceptance of the nomination and immediate appointment of Eric Wubser to serve on the board effective immediately.
So Eric Webster has been nominated. Is there a second?
Reluctantly,
All
yeah.
right, as a reluctant second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Welcome, Eric.
Thanks. Mayor, I also move now to accept the nomination of Michael Obie and Tim Oftermatt for the renewal of their terms effective immediately.
All right, so there's a motion to renew the seats for Tim Oftermatt and Michael Obie. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, so that's been moved and seconded properly. Questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, welcome back, Tim Oftermatt and Michael Obie. We will,
Julie or George, if you can hear me, I've got no sound.
I'll text him and let him know we can hear him.
We can hear you.
he can't hear us.
Tim, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can, thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
there we are. Perfect.
And can we correct the right, so with Tim being here, do we have all the members who were present, just we're not able to say here?
Michael Obie? Matt Carroll?
Well, that's no longer, yeah.
You want do Tim?
Yeah.
You want to do Tim, Julie?
Tim Oftermatt? Thank you.
All right. Yeah, we should do Eric and say that he's here, right? We need to do Eric and say that he's here.
No, it's okay.
Okay. All right. Next on the agenda, there's an executive session that we want to hold to consider some compensation of an employee and to consider some potential or imminent litigation to be discussed. Is there a motion to move this body into executive session?
Mayor, I move to go into executive session for the purposes of, to consider the compensation of an employee and for the purposes of imminent or pending litigation. That's it. We need a roll call on that.
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded. Julie, look at the individual roll call, please.
Mayor Sellers.
Yes.
Majid McClure.
Yes.
Tim Oftermatt.
Yes.
Trevor McAleer.
Yes.
Jeff Epstein,
Yes.
David Gilbert,
Yes.
Rashonda Smith, Eric Wobser,
All right, thank you. All who are not a part of this board, we're going to ask you to excuse yourself.
Michael will be.
Michael's, we'll make sure the record reflects that, Mike.
Okay. I went to Julie.
The IT individuals need to be out too.
I think Julie will.
Can I also just say thank you? Mayor Sellers.
Yes.
Majee McCloof,
Thank you, well deserved.
thank you.
Yes.
Tim Oftermatt, Trevor McAleer,
Yes.
Jeff Epstein.
Yes.
Michael Obie. David Gilbert,
Yes, and deserved.
Rashonda Smith, thank you.
Yes.
Eric Wobser,
Thank you. All right, thank you. All right, we'll go to the ASM incentive fee, George Hill and Ron King.
Okay, as you know, ASM gets, has certain benchmarks they have to meet each year, and,
George, put your mic on.
based on those benchmarks, determines their, the incentive fee that they're entitled to. Oh, right, okay, and Ron will go through the details on that.
Thank you, George. Mr. Chairman. So with the management agreement that ASM has, there's two parts to the fees. There's the fixed fee, which for 2022, the fixed fee was $235,000. And then there's the opportunity to earn an incentive fee. And there's two portions to that incentive fee. One is a quantitative portion, the other a qualitative. I'll step through the quantitative very quickly. There's different parts. The occupancy of the convention center is one of them. That's worth 35%. And on occupancy, they really only count the exhibit halls. So there was the exhibit hall occupancy, and the benchmark was 57%. We came in at 35.76%, so we earned 0 on that. The exhibit hall events, the number of events in the exhibit hall, the benchmark was 50. We came in at 57. And so the calculation comes out to $19,740. And then Global Center occupancy, which we know didn't happen last year. So the benchmark is 90%, so that was another 0 for us. So on the occupancy portion, that brought us to $19,740. Economic impact, and that goes off of room nights generated. The benchmark was 64,372, and with the help of Destination Cleveland, we were able to get 101,062. So that gave us a $49,350 amount. Net revenue attainment, we had a very good year on net revenue. Really just blew it out of the water. The benchmark was $4,762. We earned a million. Thank you, Mayor. We earned $7,313,000, so that was $42,300 attainment. So the total quantitative fee is $111,390,000. Then we have the qualitative component. And I have some slides after this. I won't go through everything on the slides for sake of time. But we have a customer service score, and on that, we actually got a 96, but the way that converts is a 4.75, so that was worth 190. Asset management report, we maxed that out at a 5, so that's worth 200. Business plan attainment, and I have some slides on that as well, another 490. So all in all, on the qualitative, we earned a 98%. So that gave that fee $92,120. You add up the two qualitative and quantitative fees, and that gave us the $203,510.
Okay, so Ron, let me just say this. So this is, and Jeff, this is by contract with ASM, these quantitative and qualitative measures.
Yes, by contract with ASM, this emulates what's known as a QMA. It's not, we didn't have to have one, but it's a qualified management agreement where we cap. There's a cap on what they can get as an incentive that is no greater than what they get as the fixed fee, so there's a limitation. And then we went back through an exhaustive set of industry factors to set these, and it's all by contract, and it's an industry standard form of contract that really analyzes all these factors.
All right, I think it's pretty clear, right? Any questions for Ron or George? Dave?
Just a comment. I just want to say, you know, we deal every day with Ron and his whole team, and they're fantastic. I mean, I know what we see up here are numbers, but if you just go above and beyond of what, just anecdotally what we hear back from the customer and the ease of doing business and the ease of partnership to make sure this building is maximized for the community, I just want to go on record just how I just think they do an absolutely fantastic job.
All right, Trevor?
So, Ron, with the exhibit hall occupancy, the benchmark of 57%, and we came in like 21% less, what, I mean, why such the big gap
Yeah,
there? I mean, it seems every report we're getting, right, we're busy, we've got events.
Right,
What am I missing?
Great question, Trevor. So if you look at an industry standard, 70% occupancy on an exhibit hall is maximum occupancy, because what it doesn't take into account is the flip time between events, number one. Number two, these benchmarks were set up at a time, and quite frankly, some of them may not be realistically obtainable. Number three, I would say the reason we're not adding more exhibit hall space and we are adding meeting space is partially for this reason. So while we are very busy, it's the number of exhibit hall events and that usage of those exhibit halls. Now, when I say that it may not be realistically obtainable, what I mean by that is the way that we were designed and built and operate. We don't do the auto show, we don't do the boat show, and so when those buildings that are 70% occupied, they're doing all those other types of consumer shows. So, if I may say, George, or you're gonna go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, whoops, are we on? We're working on the renewal contract now, and we're changing these benchmarks to be more realistic and attainable. I think we want to set realistic goals.
So Jeff, to that point, right now that we're doing the renovation, which I believe we're all calling it the convention center now, I mean, the global center stuff, that stuff's going to go away. I mean, there's not going to be.
Yes. So what we're doing, Trevor, we're doing two things, as you may recall. Number one, the configuration is now going to be different. But number two, because everyone understands that the industry continuously evolves, and it's very different now than when we opened this. So what we're also doing is we are collecting data from other centers and other agreements, and we're taking a look at how some of these standards may have evolved. And contemporaneously with the opening of our new facility, we're also going to have a revised incentives that match what our goals are, match what the buildings can do, and also match the changes in the industry. So that is part of the ongoing investigation that we're doing right now.
I also have a question.
Rosanna.
With these benchmarks, obviously these are from fiscal year 2022. Are we on track to meet the benchmark for 2023?
So I would say, and Steve Wells, speak up if I misspeak, I would say exhibit hall occupancy, no. And of course, global center occupancy, that it's under construction, so that would be a no as well.
Yeah, just to be clear, you're not going to see a global center occupancy. As soon as this is modified, that will go away. This all now becomes a convention center. There's no distinction with the global center in the future as we modify this.
Yeah, just a few points of clarification. Number one is, I don't want to lose track of that issue about the changes in the industry, and actually the very project that we're involved in in large measure is driven by the changes in the industry that we're living in, to try to stay ahead of the curve of where the industry is heading and the shift from exhibit space to meeting space. So that's why I don't know that using the terms realistic or is the right thing. We're amending the contract to deal with the industry as the industry exists, as opposed to the industry as how it existed years ago.
Right.
The only other point I would just say is I don't want to lose track also of the great work that Ron and his team have done in connection with the transformative project that we're going through. I think that they've poured a lot of effort and in the envisioning and in the need for it. So that is something to be recognized here. And quite frankly, I think we have a good story here to tell. It doesn't get told much. You know, we do get one heck of a bargain. I'm sure your company in other locations don't want to hear the story here because they.
I'm negotiating with him, don't say.
No, understood. Well, saying that and agreeing to something else are two different things. That doesn't mean that I would.
Okay, so we have, sorry.
No, so with that being said, just one very last comment with respect to 2023 is, obviously, we needed to do the project without regard to any of this stuff. We tried to be cognizant of the ASE convention coming in and the timing of that project. But also another component why we're doing the construction in 2023 is also realizing, because of the status of the industry and what's happening in 2023, it turned out to be the perfect year in which to do the project that we're doing. With that having been said, I'll move to approve the incentive fee.
Okay, we have a motion to approve made by Majid. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, so it's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. The fee is approved. Let us move to the next item agenda, Thompson Hine contract. George Hillo.
Yeah, the Thompson Hine contract is up. It's a 3-year agreement. We have, I would recommend renewing it. We're renewing it at the same fee that we're paying now. There's no additional charges. And I'd recommend that we renew it.
All right, so George's recommendation, we approve it, the contract. Is there any question about the contracts or the status?
What is the fee?
Yeah, that's us.
Yeah,
It's $7,000 a month for all the normal.
on your microphone, please.
$7,000 a month, and that includes all the normal recurring legal work. We've agreed that if there's things that fall outside of that, special type items, that we would talk about what the fee would be for that.
Go ahead, Trevor.
Are you George, are you proposing for another 3 years?
Yes.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I mean, that's a. Seven, and it doesn't increase in year 2 or 3?
No, I don't think so. No, we're not going to increase it in 2 or 3.
Okay, and,
Let's keep his feet.
no,
to the-
I didn't, I mean,
Keep his feet to the fire.
and then if, for whatever reason, if we wanted to get out of it, are we able to get out of it?
Yeah, we always have cancellation.
Okay, so hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. So George says it's 7 for 3. Jeff is over here squirming. Like, is it 7 for 3? Jeff?
George, by the way, this has been at this rate for more than 3 years. The way it operated last time on the renewal, and I'm perfectly agreeable to keep it going for another year at this rate, but the way the contract operated was, at least at the end of another year, we'd at least have a conversation about it. I think you all recognize, I hope you recognize, and by the way, if you actually saw the time spent versus the fee, you'd be surprised, but
Okay.
I think you also recognize that you
I'm
can't
gonna jump
keep
in
the
here
rates the same for 7
because
years
I'm
in a
slow you
row.
down here, right? That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make a motion, amend the motion to approve just contract for a year, 1 year.
How about this? I'll amend your motion, Mayor, to approve the contract with 3 years with the idea that toward the end of the first year, we'll do an assessment and.
Nah, I'd just rather do it for a year. Right? Because there's some negotiation needs to go on here. We're trying to keep it moving. All right. So there's a motion. I'm gonna ask for a motion. Don't let me make the motion. I'm gonna ask for a motion to approve the contract subject to only 1 year.
What are the dates, George?
December 31st.
No, from when, from?
No, from
It's-
January 1st of '23 to
All right,
December
so you're
31st
gonna
of
retro
23.
back to January 1st?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I'd move to approve Thompson Hine Legal Service Contract January 1st through December 31st at $7,000 a month for 1 year.
There's a motion made, there's a second to that?
Failed for lack of second.
I'll say.
All right, so it's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, opposed? That allows George and Jeff to have some further discussion here. All right, and keeps us moving. All right.
Thank you, I think.
Yeah, because I saw you were squirming. The Executive Director's Report, George Hillo.
Wait, just on that point, sorry, Mr. Chair, can we get it before it starts, though, next? Can we talk about it at our last board meeting, so that way we're not retroactive approving anything?
Yeah,
It's
we
not a
need-
difficult item,
Yeah,
so.
we need to be in advance of that, right? And I don't think it should be a long discussion, but it should be one that's had. All right, Executive Director's Report, please.
Okay, we have, we're undergoing our audit for 2022 right now. That takes up a lot of our time. We anticipate that, well, at least the auditors anticipate it won't be done until the summer, probably the end of the summer, August or September. They fit us in between when they do the county's audit. Okay, we're in the process of negotiating the ASM contract, which ends December 31st of '23. And we're we talked about earlier, we're in the process of putting in new benchmarks and things like that
So when do you anticipate us seeing it?
by the next board meeting.
All right, okay, perfect.
We'll probably send you something out ahead of time, and then so we can discuss it at the next board meeting. Okay, do we have those
What do you
what I
got?
have here on the board, let's see, will be,
What's next?
there it is.
Oh, there we go.
All right. What I want to do here, and this is, as you note down below, it's 2022 results reflect preliminary pre-audit performance. So this is just the preliminary report for how we did in 2022. And I just wanted to do this to show the magnitude of what's going on here. The revenue for '21, you can see, was $7,145,000. And then total revenue for '22 was $16,976,832. Big increase, and that's what I wanted to, then we get the county rent of $5.4 million. So total revenue is $12 million for '21 and $22 million for '22. Our total expenses were $10 million for '21 and $17 million for '22, giving us a net convention center income of $2.2 million for '21 and $4.5 million for '22. Other expenses, some miscellaneous expenses, and then depreciation. So that we have net income on '21 of $800,000, and in '22, almost $3.3 million. I just wanted to I'm just doing this to show in total the gross impact of the financials.
The 2.1 million in capital reserves?
Yeah, and then we did, and what we're doing, and we continue to do it, is that we fund for our future repairs and maintenance. And so we have a study done by ASM
Right.
to tell us what we're going to need. When are we going to need new carpeting, new lighting, the biggest thing we have is the IT systems.
Right.
We spent $2 million a year ago, on our IT systems. And so we have the funds available. We're putting them away every year as we go. So we put $2.1 million in each of the last 2 years in our reserve accounts.
George, you've done a good job. You and Ron have done a good job. Questions? All right, hearing none.
Okay, yeah, again, I just wanted to remind everybody, this is preliminary pre-audit.
Yeah.
So it's, auditors have not changed anything significant in the past.
Okay.
That's the end of my report.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to move on. Convention Center update, Ron King.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Go over our financials very quickly first, and I don't have a slide for this, so it should be in your packet, and also the board gets the report monthly from George's report. We had for the first quarter a positive budget variance on gross revenue of about $470,000. Unfortunately, we also had a negative budget variance on our expenses of about $86,000. So right now, we're setting a negative of about $86,000. But we still have all of our largest events to come. PMTS, which is moving out now, will be counted in next quarter, and we have other large events for next quarter. So far, we're carrying a positive variance for the end of the year of about $26,000. So tight, but we feel confident that we're going to make that. On the event recap and outlook, one thing that we're going to start doing, and we started doing it in the report that the board gets, but I'm going to start reporting it here as well. The first quarter, in a snapshot, our economic impact with the events that we had was $15,454,000. So I think that we're doing quite well on economic impact. We've also started watching the times that were mentioned in the press, and that was 72 times in the first quarter. Major events that occurred were JVA volleyball, Cleating Guardians Fest, Beer Fest, Nike President's Day volleyball tournament. So we had a lot of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority was a great event for us. Ohio Dance Masters Fan Expo of Cleveland had a lot of really great events on that first quarter. Again, a lot of them smaller, a lot sporting, a lot of cheer events, which is typical for our first quarter. Upcoming in the second quarter, the event that I just mentioned that is moving out as we speak, PMTS, Precision Machining Technology Show. They are an every other year show for us, so they'll be back again in '25. We have American Foundry Society coming up just next week, another volleyball show, Cleveland Marathon, Sherwin-Williams Innovation Excellence and Tech Summit, a Forge Fair, Association of Institutional Research, and National Association of Surface Finishers, as well as Freight Waves, which I have no idea what Freight Waves is, but I'll learn. So that's kind of our event recap and outlook. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because this should really be on the screens for folks to see. So he just gave you, if I'm reading this right, it's the March 2023 Economic Impact.
Yes, sir.
Fact sheet. So of all the events that he just talked about, the total room nights coming out of this organization were 5,367 room nights. 5,367 room nights. The attendance for these 10 events, 36,652. 36,652. And the economic impact dollar amount.
That's just last month.
Yeah, I'm just saying, that's for the month
Right,
of March.
correct. Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
Is $5,026,625. $5,026,625 for the month of March.
Thanks.
I just want to make sure that people knew what you were
Thank you,
saying.
sir.
And I'll just take this chance to, because I have to find a way of making that statement in every board
Go
meeting.
for it. I know where you're
Which
going.
was, again, 5,367 heads and beds for that month, and that's our mission and that's our focus, so we always want to stay on how many heads and beds we have. Thank you.
I'll do.
Brian, are we
Yes,
considered
ma'am.
the economic impact that we are considering for March? Is that regional, or are we looking at this from just a downtown impact?
It's regional. Yes, ma'am.
I just also wanted to highlight that Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated had.
I
the
Yes, ma'am.
kinda
largest
knew you would.
impact.
They
I
were a
knew you
great
would do that.
event. They
Make
were a
sure
great event.
that was
and-
out there.
And we look forward to them returning as well.
I don't remember why, but I happened to be in the convention center when it was happening. It was awesome.
So it's a sea of pink and green.
Yeah, it's a powerful organization. Yes, it is.
George told me that he did get a tattoo of AKA on his back. He had a great time with the ladies.
I would say something, but I'm not.
No, actually, I will say, we were so popular, they were so great. Our first day, we were overrun on our concession side, and George Hillo himself was down there directing concession lines, and the ladies loved it. They were talking to him, he loved the ladies, and the ladies loved him. Yes.
They're a great organization, and just so people understand, Ro, how many members do you have nationwide?
almost 600,000 members.
This is a powerful organization, powerful.
Mr. Chair, the Illinois tool was two, I just, what, was that, were they just renting space, or?
I'm sorry, which one?
The last one, I just was, was,
That was a, group over at the Marriott didn't have space, so they called us 6 hours before and said, we need a meeting room for 2 people.
Oh, okay.
Here's one, and we flipped it and gave them a room for 2
nice.
I'm counting everything, Trevor.
Yeah, no. No, we should count everything. I mean, that is rental space. I was just curious of how that came about. Was it, okay.
Thank you, Travis.
So-
Because I didn't know.
All right, any other questions for Ron?
I have some more in my report, Mayor.
That took 3 years and 7 months to
Wait,
plan.
oh,
I have more in my report, sir.
okay.
Thank you. One thing that we have been, I wouldn't say weak, but we haven't really been strong, is in our social media game and getting our word out to attendees, to visitors, to possible clients, and most importantly, to the residents and stakeholders within Cleveland. So to that end, we have hired a couple of people to help Travis out with that. Allison Hamer and Jenna Miller, and they have done a wonderful, wonderful job. When you walked in, there were time lapses that with the help of Mills James, our AV provider, they've put together, and we're going to continue doing that for all of our citywide events. The other thing that we're going to see for the citywide events, whenever I'm reporting economic impact, you'll see the name of the event, the attendance, and the economic impact while we're doing the time lapse. So it'll be a little more dynamic in the future. And then Jordan Gura is an event manager on our team, and before we had our two social media experts, as an event manager, she would walk around the building and do some really cool social media as well. So I'm going to go to the next slide and show you a video that she put out. Would you ladies please stand? So we have Jordan, we have Jenna, and we have Allison, and we're very happy. Jordan was actually on our operations team, and she has a background, an educational background in marketing and public relations, so she was able to be promoted up. And we just picked up Allison recently. She was at Playhouse Square, thank you. And then Jen is one of our event managers that have been here approximately a year, so you ladies can sit back down. So if you could play that, if you could roll that beautiful bean footage. So I'm going to ask everyone in here to please follow our social media so you can keep up with this. They're posting a couple of times a day now, everything from what we're doing out on the farm with the cute little chickens, and we now have little piglets, and we have little baby goats out there now. Everything from that to what's going on inside the convention center. So I'm going to ask everyone to follow us on that. And Mr. Mayor, that concludes my report.
Appreciate all the work, Ron, and the report. Any questions for Ron? Let me ask you a question, heads and beds. Dave, you got this NCAA women's basketball tournament, Final Four, coming here next year. I just was in Greenville and Dallas. You know, how many people showed up down there? I know how many people were in Greenville.
We don't have the final we don't have the final economic impact report for Dallas, but we had a group, we had probably over 20 of us down there preparing for next year. It's incredible, as you well know, what that, we were awarded that event about 4 years ago, and we hosted it back in '07. Where it is now versus even 4 years ago, what I would tell you, what's amazing, I mean, you can only fit so many people in the arena.
Right.
So that sells out every ticket, every game, mostly out-of-towners. But now what's happening is you have many, many other groups that are holding large meetings here at the same time and still not done, like Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. Women's Sports Foundation. We've always had National Women's Basketball Coaches Association, about 3,000 people. So it's becoming the epicenter of women's sports, not even just women's basketball. So the impact of even what we thought it was going to be, which was about 23 million, is what and 4 years ago, when we were awarded. My guess is when we're done with our economic impact study after the event, it's probably going to be up to over 40 in new direct dollars spent in Cleveland, in Cuyahoga County, as a result of that event being here.
So we are chasing events, Ron, here, right?
Well, it's full.
Yeah.
This building is already
Okay.
sold out for that. It's going to be the home for their Fan
Right,
Fest,
Fan
which
Fest,
is really
right.
big. And a lot of these other groups are holding their meetings here. So this building is.
We have enough hotels here because I told you I was in Greenville and wasn't room to be had, right? And so,
To your point about regional, they're going to be everywhere.
right, we'll be everywhere, everywhere. A lot of money coming this way. You saving space for Maryland?
What's that?
You saving space for Maryland?
We sure hope so.
Okay, just checking.
And I just want to emphasize the importance of social media, and Ron, hear me out. I want to welcome the women professionals who are joining us on this, and thank you very much.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to project update, Ellis Katz.
Hello, I'm excited today to say that we're transitioning for this meeting and future meetings into construction updates for the project. So I'm here to introduce Ed Paparone, who's our project executive at Turner Construction, and Terry Donovan, our project manager, and they're going to give you an update, and then I'll give you one slide about where we're at with the budget.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to meet you. My name's Ed Paparone. I am the project executive for Turner. Last time we got to meet, it was on a WebEx, and I was recovering from pneumonia, so this is a lot more fun than that occurrence. We're going to give you an update on schedule, manpower, and safety, and how we're doing on our community outreach and diversity for the project. And then Terry's going to help walk through some photos to show you some snapshots of what we're doing out to make a good, safe renovation of the convention center. Here's where we are on the timeline. We plan on updating this with you every board meeting. We'll keep moving, marching the line down to the completion of the convention center. Right now, we're primarily in make it a safe construction zone for the tenants that are still in the building, for the workers, and with the sensitive work we're going to be doing to the outside of the wall, make sure we're good and watertight before we start peeling off the back of the wall. With that, I'm going to let Terry Donovan, our project manager, walk through a little bit more detail about what we're doing over the next several months until we meet you at the next board meeting.
Thanks, Ed. Everyone hear me okay? Thank you for having us. So some of the key activities, if you want to go to the next slide, some of the key activities of what's been going on recently. One of the biggest things was we got our final permit drawing submitted to the city, so that's our permit number 3 set that is now into the city. We're continuing interior protection, kind of like Ed saw, so the first thing was really separating ourselves from the public. So we've now made ourselves separate from the public based on all the walls that you guys have probably seen around the atrium. And now we're building our west wall protection, which is where we're going to peel the skin off of the exterior of the building. So we got to build a temporary wall to keep all the weather out of our existing building when we do that. The other big thing you guys have probably seen or will see if you come for a walk around is in the atrium, there's a large scaffolding that's been installed. That is actually the south scaffolding that's being installed for the monumental stair that we're going to be installing. That stair is going to be hung from the steel above, which is why we got to get up to the roof level and reinforce. Soon you'll be seeing us move to the north end. We'll be installing another scaffolding, and that'll be for the escalators that we're going to be putting in. We're continuing demolition on the second and third floors inside what was the old Global Health Center. And some of the look-ahead activities then over the next couple months that you guys will be following is obviously we'll be obtaining our final permits from the city. We'll be beginning to remove that west facade, the exterior side of the wall. We'll be installing the escalator scaffolding, like I said, in the atrium on the north side of the atrium. We'll be removing a portion of that ceiling. We'll begin doing demolition inside the existing ballroom space. And we'll be starting some of our mechanical, electrical, plumbing work inside of those renovated spaces on the second and third floor. Moving on where we're at, as of March 38th, we've had 38 workers go through our safety orientation process. That's equated to about 1,795 man-hours that we've expended on site. We had 0 injuries within that time frame, and really just since that time, we're really increasing our manpower. I think we're up around 30 guys on site now every day, so those numbers will be vastly increased the next time we meet. With where we're at as far as diversity is concerned, contract-wise, we're well on our way to finalizing contracts with all of our subcontractors. We've got 10 contracts with MBE contractors, either direct with us or sub-tiered, and that equates to 21% of our 18% goal, which is great. That means we're heading in the right direction. We're actually above our goals at this point. As far as female business enterprises go, again, we're at 8%. There's 7 contracts that equate to $3 million in female business enterprises that we're awarding contracts to. As far as SBE firms, we're at 12%. Again, we're beyond our 5% goal, and that equates to 5 contracts at $4.8 million. The remaining 14% basically of packages that we have left out that we're finalizing contracts on include concrete, millwork, roofing, joint sealants and fire stopping, terrazzo, painting, window roller shades, interior final cleaning, exterior final cleaning, and then site concrete and landscaping. So those will be the final contracts that we'll be working toward. Since we did just start in March, we're collecting all the prevailing wage reports, so I don't have all of the data to share just yet on the actual workforce. So at our next meeting, we'll definitely have information from our LCP prevailing wage tracker system that'll give you where we're at with our Cuyahoga County residency, City of Cleveland residency, minority workforce, and female workforce. So we'll definitely have that at the next meeting. At this point, we're gathering all that information. Lastly, some slides just to give everybody kind of a flavor of where we're at. The first slide up there you can see is they're installing that scaffolding that I was talking about for the monumental stair. That scaffolding is now actually complete, so if you walk and poke your head out there, you'll see a platform that gets guys up to that ceiling. In the center, we opened up some windows so that we could bring in material to build our temporary walls. So that's kind of the entryway with the plywood there. And then the remaining pictures are kind of a combination of just showing you different areas on the second and third floors where we have started demolition. So we're removing a lot of those finishes. I know in talking with the guys, they're enjoying the noise that we're making. A lot of dentistry drilling going on that they're loving. But things are going really well. Appreciate being part of the team, and it's an exciting time.
Timeline, completion timeline is?
June 28th of 2024 is our substantial completion date.
There it is. All right, questions?
Just a quick question, because there was the final permit drawing
Yes.
submitted to the city, and then things to look forward to was permits in the plural. Are there any remaining permit, I understand sort of the final construction drawings are there any other permitting that we're going to submit to the city, or are we done? Is the landmarks completed? What's left?
Landmarks is complete. Alice, correct me if I say something.
That's correct. We're done with landmarks.
Okay,
Right,
so
we're
this
getting-
is
we're
just
getting
building code permitting that we're
We're
dealing
getting
with.
a
at
base
this-
permit that others, trade partners will be able to get their permits through mechanical, electrical, plumbing. But
Okay.
And just to
So
further
they're-
explain, what they've done is they've issued incremental permitting to allow them to keep track on the project. So the permits they have in hand allow them to keep working while these other ones are being reviewed by the city. So nothing is going to hold up construction.
Ellis, do you want to talk about the conditional permit?
Well, you're talking about Landmarks Commission?
Yeah.
So Landmarks Commission gave us a conditional permit based on 2 things. One was to provide them a report about birds and how they could be impacting our expansion. We hired a bird consultant from New Jersey who has been involved with major projects around the country to analyze not only our expansion but also the existing campus with regard to bird strikes. And as a result of his report, he does indicate that, there have been some birds that have hit the glass on the west ballroom that exists today. So from that report, we started studying options for how to do that and how to mitigate the impact of those bird strikes. And so what we've elected to do is to use a Guardian glass product, which has a UV etched coating on it, where humans won't see the UV coating. It actually looks like little 2-inch stripes spaced about 4 inches apart. Humans don't see it, but the birds do. And so they think it's a solid object and they try to avoid it. The reason we're using that product versus something like a decal or a dot or some sort of pattern is to optimize the guest experience in the ballroom. We didn't want the guest to be distracted by looking at dots or patterns on the glass. So this is a clear product that allows us to solve the problem, but also make it the most sellable for your meeting guests. So that's what we're doing with that part. The other part was we had to satisfy, I'm not sure if everybody on this board knows that the city has created a subcommittee called PETBOT, which is the Planning, I hope I get this right, Planning, Engineering, Traffic, and Bureau of Traffic bodies within the city of Cleveland. It's a great group because it allows all those constituents that look at these various aspects of our streets and sidewalks to advise the city and the Landmarks Commission as to whether how we are using the site is applicable and will work. And the reason it was a contingent on PETBOT approval was, as a part of the ballroom expansion, we're doubling the size of the ballroom, so there's going to be a need on occasion, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but to bring in AV technology similar to this, but on a much larger scale, where they're going to be bringing light trusses into the ballroom and things like that of very large sizes. So we want to be able to take a 30-foot panel truck and drive up on the north plaza that's adjacent to the ballroom so that they could directly access into the ballroom this AV equipment on occasion. And there'll be bollards that we're going to be putting in place. It's actually a part of the overall Homeland Security plan that's being implemented that you approved previously. They will be up when the truck is not accessing this plaza. We reviewed that with PETBOT and how we're going to achieve that, and they've approved it and accepted it. So that's why our Landmarks Commission is no longer contingent. It's approved, and the permitting process can proceed.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, hearing none. Thank you for that update. What do we got?
I was just going to update the budget. I mean, the slide, if you can go back one, thank you. The 49 million is the same number you've seen before. The slide is similar to what you've seen before. The only difference is that we decided, because of, as Turner has shown you, that they're at 86% buyout. There were some time-sensitive ad alternates that we included in the guaranteed maximum price with Turner that we elected to proceed with so that we would stay on schedule. So we did approve about $242,000 of change orders. They came out of an allocated contingency that we had set up within the budget to pay for that. So that's really just an update on the
Mayor, if I
budget.
may, just so everyone remembers the whole process that we are using here, the same thing that we've done before. When we first budget the project, to make sure that we stay within budget, there's certain items that we say we don't absolutely have to have them, but if we can afford them, we're going to incorporate them into the project. We're going to buy them out on day one so that it's not change order pricing, it's original contract pricing. And then as we get through certain phases of the project, if the money is available and if we're convinced that we don't need it in contingency, we then use that to procure ad alternates. So right now we have $242,000. It's not new to the budget. It's simply taking it out of the contingency and moving it into the project. And that's the method that we use to manage the budget and make sure we get all the scope that we're looking for.
So those are, I presume, project enhancement
Yeah, it was.
What are they?
There are 3 items that we approved. As you know, with the ballroom expansion, and we're going to have a lot more people coming in and out of this expansion area, and the security command center that currently exists in the back of house of the Global Center is really too small to function properly. So one of the change orders was to create a larger, more enhanced security command center to handle the flow of people. So that's one of the things. Another one, which we think is going to be a really big, great selling point for Travis and his team, is we added a collapsible, operable wall. If you've seen the one at the Bar 32 at the Hilton, the product's called a Nano Wall. We incorporated that on the second floor, so there'll be easy flow access onto our event deck. So we think that's going to be a great selling point, and it was time sensitive, so we needed to go with that. And then the third one was also a guest experience approval one. We had some square columns up against the glass that were taking up the view for the guest. We elected to go with round columns, which will free up the view. So it's just those three options.
No, and I just wanted to, because sometimes the term change order, people think it's something else. This is almost like what we did with the Hilton, with the
Exactly what we did.
savings, with the space outside of the ballroom.
All-
So-
Yeah, all these items have been planned. They've all been designed, they've all been priced. So as the money is available, if it's available, we add them to the project. If we have other contingencies and we can't do it, it's fine because the project's great without them. But each one of these things, as the money is available, if the money is available, we add it without, and it's by a change order. That's the mechanical way to do it, but it's not change order pricing. It's
Right.
original base contract pricing.
Right, and you'll see more of this as we progress because there'll be time-sensitive items that we want to stay on schedule with.
So let
Full
me see, because we're running along on time.
Sure.
I would just say, because we're gonna move on, your next presentation, you should always start with the original amount of contingency, and as we subtract from that number, we can see where it's headed.
Sure.
Right.
No problem.
Okay, all right. Any questions? All right, hearing none, we're gonna move on to the Hilton update. Is Larry here?
Larry, you're muted.
Very faint.
Need some volume.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great. Sorry about that. Go to the next slide, please. Mayor, I'll be quick. Bottom line is, for the national lodging market, RevPAR through Q1 is up 17% to last year. It's important to note, last year, we were still sort of dealing with Omicron impact, so the year-over-year comparisons will start to get a lot more challenging as we get out of Q1. We're seeing now urban areas, the RevPAR growth is faster than the suburban resort areas. Those markets were leading first, but now urban areas are coming back, primarily due to return of business travel, which is helping drive midweek occupancy. RevPAR is now above 2019 levels on a nominal basis, but when we factor in inflation, we're not quite there yet. We're still off by several percentage points. Next slide. Cleveland market, again, the U.S. markets were up 17% for the quarter. Cleveland was up 13%. So it's kind of in line with some of the other Midwest markets, some better, some worse, but in the middle. Next slide. Looking at the downtown hotels, RevPAR in Q1 was $74, about 4% up compared to Q1 '22, but still below 2019 levels. And again, we knew 2023 was going to be a challenging year here. We've known it even pre-COVID. Next slide. Airport traffic is about 95% of where it was in 2019. Group continues to be a concern for '23. We are seeing some increased volumes of short-term group. By short-term, 30 to 45-day group bookings. Market stats a little bit skewed in Q1. There are several hotels under renovation, which can skew the numbers a little bit, and also starting to see new hotel supply starting to evolve. Projects coming up here and there, so something we'll be keeping an eye on over the next couple of years. All that being said, rising interest rates are a factor for hotel owners, particularly for refinancings or new development. They're starting to see some beginning levels of more distress in the market, particularly around hotels that are refinancing that, the value is not there or the interest rates have gone up dramatically. So while the fundamentals are looking good, there is definitely some storm clouds out here in Q2 and Q3. Any questions?
Any questions for Larry? All right, no questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. All right, we'll move on to, Julie, you got any old business?
No, there's no old business.
Any new business?
No new business either.
All right, so no old business, no new business. The next quarterly meeting is Friday, July 21st, 2023 at 8:30. Will it be in the same room here?
No, there will be a different room, and I'll let you know ahead of time.
Okay, perfect. All right, any other questions are good for the order?
Are you going to do a tour?
Yeah, hold on. Slow down,
Yeah, you-
slow down, homie. All right, so we have set up for everyone a tour here before we adjourn. There's a tour of the project site. Those all interested in seeing the work going on here. Who's leading that tour? All right, so Turner guys are leading the tour. We'll meet outside this door here. So if you're interested in seeing the tour, that's where you go. Those who have shown and taken their time to come down, I want to thank you for your time today. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? This meeting stands adjourned. Thank you.